Hi, this is James Gordon here with a graphic novel review. Today I'll be reviewing not one, not two, but three graphic novels. Yesterday and the day before, I decided to read this graphic novel series that I bought years ago, like back in 2022, and I thought, how the hell have I not read this already? I decided now it's the time to pull out this graphic novel series as I want to do more on the channel, and I always enjoy reading other novels and graphic novels and comics from other places around the world, especially in Europe. And it's always interesting to see how writers and artists do things differently over there than here in North America. Originally, I was going to review each graphic novel, to review each one, and however, the graphic novel series is like really short, so I decided to combine all three reviews into one, as that would make more sense than reviewing like each one, as I wouldn't have very much to talk about if I reviewed each one. It would make more sense to review all three graphic novels. So, the graphic novel series that I'm going to be talking about today, RanXerox, or RanX, written by Stefano Tamburini and illustrated by Tanino Liberatore. So this is the first one, RanX in New York. This was first published in Canada and Frederi in Italy of 1978, reprinted into Heavy Metal magazine in July 1983, then published by Catalan Communications in September 1984. So that's the first graphic novel here. And then the second one, I have to okay, there we go. And then the second one, RanXerox, Happy Birthday Lubaba. Can show the back though. First published in Heavy Metal 1985, then published by Catalan Communications in February 1987. And then the third one, RanX 3, Amen, was first published by Heavy Metal in 1996, then featured in Heavy Metal magazine in 1997. So, this is a series that I discovered through Heavy Metal magazine when I started collecting it many years ago, and I was always interested in this character, RanX or RanXerox, who's this like cyborg brute character who's very strong, and a very tough character. I remember reading there was very little like information I could find on RanXerox, but basically what I got was that it is set in some violent dystopian future where criminals practically run everything. Law enforcement has no control over crime anymore. It's like a lot of gangs and area like cities controlled by the mafia and stuff, and it follows like this teenage girl, Lumna, and her friends as they get into basically a lot of trouble and stuff. And the backstory with RanXerox is that Lubula was lonely, so her friends got her this cyborg, RanXerox. However, she was assaulted by some gang, so her friends reprogrammed to make him his defense mechanism like extremely high. So if anyone bothers her, RanX would not hesitate to injure or murder anyone that either annoys him, angers him, or bothers Luba or friends. So that was basically the summary I got with this series, and I was always curious about reading it. And then I remember back in 2020, Heavy Metal was supposed to come out with this RanXerox Complete Edition, which never came out. Bizarrely, it came out in other countries, like I believe Italy and France, but it never got an English translation, unfortunately, which is a real shame because I was looking on eBay to see if it ever got released, but it never did. Only in the other languages, unfortunately, not English, which is unfortunate, as that edition was supposed to have like an unfinished comic, so like concept artwork of the characters and stuff, and it sounded really, really cool. Maybe one day we'll get a complete RanXerox graphic novel one day, who knows, but anyway. So, I ordered all three graphic novels back in 22, and they just sat with my graphic novel collection. And they haven't been read until this week. So I'm glad I finally got around to reading this, and it's very different. Like this, I will say right now that this series is not for everyone. It's very dark, edgy, and it's very satire. As I think the stories and the characters might rub people the wrong way, and it's kind of shocking in several places. So this is not for the faint-hearted. I would only recommend this if you're a big heavy metal fan, you're into dark, edgy stuff, and you're not easily offended. The one thing I really like about this series is that it's set in these like dark, gritty, violent, filthy worlds that are controlled by criminals and stuff. There's a lot of graffiti. There's a lot of like decaying areas and stuff, and you got like kind of a lot of slum areas mixed with the rich upper class areas. While reading this series, it kind of reminded me of films like RoboCop, Escape from New York, and Akira. But what if those worlds, basically the criminals won and took over the worlds, and the law enforcement was just powerless to stop them? That's what it kind of reminded me of, and it also kind of reminded me a little bit of Dr. Hatter as well, especially with the way the characters are. So you got these filthy, gritty worlds, and you got these characters in the background with these like strange and bizarre outfits they wear and like face makeup and stuff, and it's a really interesting blend of that. And the art and the illustrations are beautiful in this. I'll show them later on in my review, but I really like the illustrations. I heard that the illustrator Tamburini Liberatore, I read that apparently he used like these very like thin pens to do the illustrations and stuff, and the artwork is beautiful in this. Like it's really incredible. So I like that. However, the one issue I had with this series is that the stories don't really offer a lot of, like, they're very short, and I wish the writer could have added like more backstory to the world of RanXerox, some of the characters, and just add a little more variety to it, because I felt he's got it interesting like world and characters, but I wish there was more to it. It's just very kind of like simple and basic, and I just wish I had more to it. And my other issue was there's not a lot of characters to like in this series. Like there's like RanX is kind of the interesting character, but the rest of the cast I really didn't either care for or like. I especially hated RanXerox's girlfriend, Luba. She's one of the most annoying female characters I read in a series. She's constantly bitching about things, whining a lot. Oh, and some of the things she does just really kind of annoyed me, to the point where she puts her friends' lives in danger several times, and she even herself allows herself to get easily kidnapped over like stupid things. And it got to the point where I really wished RanX would abandon this girl, because she's just nothing but trouble to him, and she does a bunch of other nasty things that I really didn't like. Yeah, so there wasn't really a lot of characters I liked, but overall, I will say that I really enjoyed the first two graphic novels a lot. RanXerox in New York and Happy Birthday Lunuba. Those were the two best ones. The third one was the one I really did not like. I felt that one had so much potential, and I felt it like the writer really missed the mark on like so many opportunities. They could have like really fleshed out the story, make it better, add more to the plot, and I just felt it was kind of a mess at times. Like it goes one direction, then it just abruptly changes direction. It's like, well, what is going on in this story? And a lot of times it didn't make a lot of sense. So the third one I would say was the weakest of the series. The first two I liked the best. So if you're into like dark, edgy stuff and you're not easily offended, then I would recommend this series. However, again, the graphic novels themselves can be a bit tricky. Like I look on eBay, and the some of them are like you can get the first few in like really good condition for a reasonable price. So other times they're very expensive. So yeah, so after watch my review, think over if you want to check out this series or not. I will explain the things I like with it, and the many and the issues and problems I had with this series. But overall, it was an interesting read. All right, on to the review and spoiler. I will give away crucial details within each graphic novel. RanXerox in New York. Plot. Set in a dark, violent, dystopian future where crime rate is high and lots of dangerous gangs with little law enforcement to stop it. Lubaba and her friends are at the Clone Bar in Rome waiting for RanX to show up, Lubaba's android bodyguard and lover. Lubaba wants to pick up some drugs as she's having a bad day. RanX shoves his way through the crowd of people to make the call when he overhears Lubaba being assaulted by some punks. RanX becomes angry and tears the phone out of the wall and smashes it against the punks, killing them. Luba gets him to calm down as the ride shows up. They are buying a stash of drugs from artist and telepath Raniero. They reach his apartment as he's in the middle of working on a series of new paintings for an upcoming art show. While Luba is in the middle of getting her fixed, the artist junkies ask if she can turn RanX off, which she does, and is kidnapped. They drop off RanX at the Coliseum. Later, RanX awakens when he hears Raniero communicating with his telepathic powers, and he has a job for him to do if he wants Lubaba back. He tells RanX to cover his exposed head, punches a man with a cowboy hat, knocking him out cold, and takes his hat. Raniero orders RanX to go over to a bar across the street. Upon sitting down, a girl comes up to RanX and asks if he'd like to buy a rose, which RanX replies by crushing her hand. Then Raniero tells RanX to turn around as he wants him to kill George Phlox, leader of a dangerous gang, for criticizing his art show. With him is his two big bodyguards, A and B. A waiter asks RanX to remove his hat. He refuses, with the waiter asking him again. RanX rams his elbow into the waiter's groin. Raniero has RanX go over to the jukebox and plug into it, with Raniero giving the command to kill everyone by adjusting the volume so loud it causes everyone's eardrums to explode. However, George Phlox survives as he had headphones on while listening to Love Will Tear Us Apart. He draws his gun and fires at RanX and flees. RanX grabs onto a truck and is dragged along until he reaches Raniero's apartment. He jumps through the window and grabs Raniero's head. RanX squeezes hard, wanting to know where Lubaba is. Raniero reveals he's going to use Lubaba for some art piece. Furious, RanX breaks his head and flees. George's mother, who was in the middle of kinky sex, gets a gun and calls George, asking if he's alright. RanX jumps out of the apartment and bumps into one of Luba's friends, Marita. He explains what happened with her, telling him to hop on her moped. After having sex with RanX, Marita fixes his damaged head. This causes RanX to become horny. Suddenly, a knock at the door. It's Marita's ex-boyfriend. RanX gets angry as he goes up to the door and punches through it, killing her ex-boyfriend. Marita takes RanX to the train station to rescue Lubaba. However, he breaks a streetlight pole to replace his large battery as it's going low in power, and asks Marita to replace it in his back. Suddenly, a gang attempts to assault Marita, but one of the gang members kicks RanX, causing his battery pack to close, allowing him to fight off the gang members. RanX boards a crowded train and finds a free seat. He awakens a gang leader, telling him to be quiet, which RanX kills all the gang members and takes the leader's leather biker hat. After getting off the train, RanX bumps into Phil, an old friend of his, and offers to help him find Lubaba. She is being held by Mr. Volaire, a very wealthy and powerful man. Phil takes RanX to Mr. Volaire's mansion on the hill close by to the sea. RanX tries breaking in, but the door is locked. After killing a guard dog, he falls through a trap floor and lands in the basement with Mr. Volaire waiting for him along with Lubaba. Wearing a blue suit with a blue bondage mask, he offers RanX a deal. He wants him to star in his latest show in New York. If he does what Mr. Volaire wants, he'll give back Lubaba along with lots of money. RanX is forced to come along with them. Taking a mini-jet, they fly to Manhattan. Mr. Volaire forces RanX to tap dance while Lubaba goes on a tour of New York City with Volaire. After spending 24 hours learning how to dance and listen to a bunch of songs RanX hates, he's performing live with a camera crew, and in the center of the stage is a giant turning table. Lubaba goes to kiss Mr. Volaire, causing RanX to snap. Grabbing the giant turning table, he throws it across the stage, crushing a few people, and climbs up it. He grabs Mr. Volaire's cane and crushes his neck, then takes Lubaba outside, spanking her as RanX has had enough of her bullshit. RanXerox 2, Happy Birthday Lubaba. Plot. Set 1 month after the events of the first graphic novel, RanX and Luba moved into an apartment as RanX works as a cab driver to earn money. However, his relationship with Luba is falling apart. Luba continues to rant at RanX as he covers his ears with steam coming out of his head. He would punch her in the face if he wasn't programmed not to do it. Luba is annoyed that RanX hasn't gotten her a birthday gift yet. She goes to leave to do babysitting while RanX goes to visit his friend Timothy, a mid-30s man who has an obsession of photographing women in violent accidents. He has scars from several accidents he was in himself. He shows RanX his photo collection and agrees to join him in his disturbing work. Following an ambulance to a nasty accident of a truck crashing into a car, no survivors as everyone is killed on impact. Timothy snaps a photo of a dead woman with her brain exposed, but is ordered to leave when a paramedic grabs him. RanX elbows the man in the neck. Timothy steps in and tells RanX to take him to the airport to find a hooker for sex. Meanwhile, Luba isn't enjoying dealing with the whiny children she's been paid to watch, so ties and gags them while watching TV. After Timothy made a mess in the back of RanX's cab, he hides in the trunk while RanX picks up Lizzie after having a fight with her husband. Lizzie asks RanX to take her to the Mud Club and takes a liking to him, offering $200 for a good time. However, Lizzie becomes annoyed when she finds out RanX is an android and insults him. Angered, RanX ties her up to the toilet, steals her wallet, and leaves her. RanX finds the tickets for a party and plans to give them to Luba as a birthday gift. Upon arriving, RanX forgets to let Timothy out of the cab and uses the card. However, the security refuses to let him in since he isn't Liz. RanX punches the door till it opens. Entering a large party with people dressed in colorful and strange outfits and face makeup, RanX finds a stash of drugs he plans to bring back for Luba. Putting them in his back pocket, unaware some gay men think RanX wants sex. One of them pokes RanX's butt with a baton, which annoys him, and grabs the man. RanX asks him what the hell he was doing, but the man insults him. RanX replies for him to cool off by shoving his face into the fan blade. Gloria, a very tall woman impressed with RanX, invites him to join her. Another man attempts to fight RanX after injuring his friend. RanX grabs the man's arm and shoves it into the fan, slicing off his fingers. While chatting with Gloria, RanX disturbs one of the guest's pet monkeys and crushes it. Gloria brings RanX over to Inaugural, the party's host and dressed up in a Roman outfit, who is impressed with him and offers a large sum of money to enter in a death race. RanX agrees to do it. His cab is taken out onto the track while the rival team is getting their beat-up white Citroen DS fueled up and cameras placed on both cars. Just before the race, one of the rival team members tries to kill RanX by stabbing him in the chest with a knife, not realizing he's an android, and runs towards his friend's car. In range, RanX kicks the passenger door when he gets into his cab, chasing after them. RanX gets his assistant to hook up the camera cable to his head, allowing him to see what the cameras are showing. However, his assistant gets shot in the head. RanX lowers himself while chasing after them. He then drives through a barrier and jumps out of the cab. It crashes onto the rival car and explodes. RanX also remembers that Timothy was still in the trunk. Upon winning the race, RanX is given the money as he and Luba return back to Rome. A year later, RanX and Luba have settled in their new apartment. Luba is going out with her friends to buy drugs and wants him to record a movie for her. Waiting for her is Marita, Chiro, Andy, and Carmen, the youngest in the group. Carmen leads them through the crowded streets of Rome with thick carbon dioxide in the air. Crossing a bridge, they reach the apartment with Carmen ring the doorbell and are greeted by Romeo. He brings them in and offers several stashes of heroin in different colors, but warns them not to go through the red door. While Luba and her friends are trying each drug, Carmen wanders off and unlocks the red door. She is shocked to find a large muscular man with a second face, and his room is plastered with Elvis Presley posters. The second face asks the mutant man, who is the brat Giorgio. Carmen runs back to the others. Romeo, annoyed, they open the door, tells Giorgio to go back into his room. One of Romeo's friends insults Giorgio by calling his music shitty. Giorgio snaps and kills him, then grabs a chainsaw, slices off Romero's right arm, and kills his friends along with his wife. Luba and her friends run out of the apartment with Giorgio chasing after them. Luba hides Cartman as they try escaping to the subway. A man passes by calling the girls cute, but is murdered by Giorgio. Reaching the subway, they are horrified to see Giorgio massacring his way through a crowd of people as he dismembers them with the chainsaw. They miss the train as they are now trapped. Just as Giorgio goes to finish them off, Carmen returns with her gang. They shoot Giorgio with water pistols filled with acid, causing him to slip on a puddle and slice his leg open with the chainsaw. Giorgio's second phase tries to reason with the gang, but Carmen's gang finish off Giorgio, returning to watch the movie RanX recorded for them. RanXerox 3, Amen. Plot. RanX is in the middle of repairing himself as Luba hasn't returned to her apartment in 4 months. While dreaming about counting bulls jumping over a fence till one explodes when he hears knocking at the door. It's Carmen who gives RanX a tape telling him Luba has a message for him. Angered, RanX grabs Carmen and demands to know where she is. Carmen doesn't know and RanX lets her go. She threatens to get back at him while RanX puts the tape on. It's Luba, telling RanX she's found a real man in her life, Marza, and doesn't want him anymore. Enraged, he smashes the TV and goes to find her. While roaring through the streets of Rome, RanX is suddenly attacked by clones of himself and sees Luba watching the fight in the backseat of a cab. She orders the driver to go as RanX fights off the clones, then steals a car, following her to a high-rise building owned by Luba's rich and powerful father, Thomas Limbo, founder of I, Me, Mine Corporation. Mr. Limbo was in the middle of a call with Marzai, who wants to marry Luba but is scared of RanX. He tries to get him to muscle up against RanX but refuses. Then Luba comes begging her dad to get rid of RanX. Mr. Limbo arms himself with a combat rifle as RanX bursts through the door. Mr. Limbo shoots RanX. He angrily yells at Luba for abandoning him and tears out his own heart before bursting into flames. Mr. Limbo has plans to rebuild RanX for his own use. While repairing and erasing RanX's memory of Luba, Mr. Limbo is dealing with a personal problem. He's been hired to save the president who's infected with a virus that's causing his body to mutate and is trying to find a cure. He sends RanX to Naples to bring the antivirus to the White House since RanX is an android and won't be infected. Dressed up as a priest, RanX is approached by a tall, muscular black man, Cleo, an engineer for the cargo ship Hugo, and offers him a job. RanX replies he can't stand bad musicians and kills a man playing a clarinet by shoving it through his head, then says Amen. Impressed, Cleo takes RanX with him. Later on, Cleo calls Melu, who is in the middle of having sex with Marzai, and wants him to know he messed up. Melu then activates a hidden blade in the phone and stabs Marzai in the throat. Meanwhile, Luba and her friends are in the middle of watching Annie getting photos taken by her photographic boyfriend, Battisto. They go to a fashion show to relax with Carmen's gang dealing with Marzai's men following them. They are shocked to find Romeo there, who recovered from his injuries from his psychopathic brother Giorgio. Romeo offers them drugs, which they gladly take. Suddenly, Luba and her friends pass out. Carmen realizes it's a trap. Romeo pulls out a magnum and kills Annie by shooting her in the head, just as Romero and his goons attempt to kidnap Luba when suddenly a bomb goes off, killing almost everyone. Mr. Limbo is informed about the fashion show attack and sees his daughter survive the blast along with Baptisto and Cartman. Mr. Limbo contacts the helicopter pilot to get his daughter. They land, but the pilot states they don't have enough room. Battisto takes Romero's magnum and kills the co-pilot, allowing them to board the helicopter. The Hugo cargo ship leaves port. While RanX is listening to Cleo confess his sins, a squad of commandos shows up. One armed with a SPAS 12 shotgun tries to kill RanX but misses, shooting him in the shoulder. The commandos hold Cleo at gunpoint as the hit squad smashes the back of RanX's head in badly, then beat him up. Believing he's dead when suddenly RanX is touched by Luba spiritually, causing RanX to come back to life and fight off the commandos. Cleo disarms one of them as they kill the hit squad. After killing the last commando, RanX says Amen. Cleo tries to repair RanX with what he's got. He also begins to remember Luba and orders the cargo ship back to Rome. The captain refuses and RanX snaps his neck. Then a female officer attempts to kill RanX with a hand grenade. However, RanX tears off her arm, killing her. Cleo warns the ship's engine core is going to overheat and it's going to explode. They jump out of the cargo ship before it blows up. When Mr. Limbo is informed about RanX not reaching the White House and the president has 3 hours before he dies, he is also under pressure to save his daughter, who is in a coma from her heavy drug use. General Hacker is sent to take over Mr. Limbo and kills him. RanX and Cleo are discovered by occult members living in a fortified nuclear power plant. They are welcome inside, but the leader plans a mass death by overloading the nuclear reactor. Cleo reaches for the spear above the wall and stabs it through the cult leader's head. He and RanX barely make it out alive as RanX's body is crushed from the heavy-duty door, only leaving RanX's head left. General Hacker tracks down RanX as he and Cleo are rescued before the nuclear plant explodes. It's revealed that General Hacker infected the president to take over, causing a civil war to break out, allowing them more control over the nation. Luba has awoken from her coma, and Cleo has brought back RanX to her. They are living together now. However, RanX has now turned into a radio, which annoys Luba, as all he plays is military religious music, annoying RanX that he's back with Luba again. RanXerox series is a dark, edgy, and over-the-top violent in a bleak alternate future that's not for the faint-hearted. Highly detailed illustrations by Tamburini Liberatore showing a very gritty world with filthy slum areas mixed with upper-class high-tech places. Reading the 3 graphic novels reminded me of films like RoboCop, Escape from New York, and Akira, but if the criminals were able to take over the cities without law enforcement to save the world from plunging into total chaos. There were a few moments of really good scenery within each of the 3 graphic novels. Characters stand out in their strange yet colorful outfits. The violence and scenes of gore were awesome, along with some moments of dark humor. While most of the characters we come to know are either killed off or never seen again, there wasn't many that I really liked. RanX, the anti-hero who either does what Luba wants or is forced to do others' bidding, having no feelings towards those he doesn't care, won't hesitate to injure or kill anyone who gets in his way or angers him. A strong yet powerful android. While not the sharpest tool in the shed, RanX isn't to be messed with. He does things I either liked or didn't like. Still an interesting character. The only other character I found interesting was Giorgio, the mutant Elvis fan with a second face, who appears at the end of Happy Birthday Luba. The scene of him going on a killing spree with a chainsaw was awesome and gory. Wish there could have been more scenes of him, as I wonder if Giorgio was a serial killer. As for the rest of the cast, there wasn't anyone else I didn't like. I especially hated Luba, a very mean, selfish, and spoiled brat who gets into trouble and shows little care for RanX and even puts her friends' lives in danger a few times. Some of her actions, like disabling RanX, which causes her to be kidnapped, and hanging out with the dangerous men for the thrill of it, really annoyed me, and gets into fights with RanX over stupid things to the point where I wanted this character to die. Her reckless actions get most of her friends killed in the 3rd final graphic novel for trusting Romeo, thinking he won't harm them after the events of getting his psychopathic brother Giorgio killed, and her out-of-control drug addiction also costed her badly. I just hated Luba so much in this series. Only one character had a kinder heart for RanX was Marita. Sadly, she's killed thanks to Luba's reckless lifestyle. As for the writing by Stefano Tamburini, I felt it could be hit or miss. While I enjoyed the first 2 graphic novels, RanXerox New York and Happy Birthday Luba, despite being short, I still enjoyed these 2 the most. However, I do wish there was a bit of backstory on the world of RanX and more background on some of the other characters, just to add more layers to the story and plot. I didn't like the 3rd graphic novel, Amen. It felt very short and didn't explain a lot of what was going on. From the mysterious clones of RanX that suddenly appear for no reason or explanation, to the confusing plot of Mr. Limbo's plan, along with getting General Hacker's New World Order for America, as I felt so much more could have been added to the plot, as it felt rushed towards the end. And the Doomsday Call really didn't make much sense, and felt the subplot could have been cut out. I also hated Luba so much in the 3rd graphic novel that I wanted her to die so badly for the nasty things she does, and yet Luba somehow saves RanX through a supernatural event that isn't explained either. The only thing I liked with Amen was its rich detail was with the scenery, characters, and weapons are very well drawn. Overall, RanXerox isn't for everyone. It's dark, edgy, and shocking, which might rub some people the wrong way, and there isn't many likable characters within this series. But if you're into dark, over-the-top, violent, and gritty graphic novels, or a fan of heavy metal magazines, then give RanX series a try. You might like it. Alright, that's for the review today. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah, this was a interesting graphic novel series to read. As I said, I enjoyed the first 2 a lot, despite how short they are. However, I felt the 3rd one, Amen, was the weakest one in the series. It's very short, and I found the plot very confusing. At times didn't make much sense. I wish the writer Stefano added more to the plot of the series. I wish he added more backstory on some of the characters, the world that RanX takes place in, as it's a very interesting world. It kind of, as I said, reading it, I was thinking about films like RoboCop, Akira, Escape from New York. There were a couple others that came to mind. Well, reading these like very violent, gritty uh, worlds that the series takes place in, and it just would be nice to know a little more backstory, add more layers to the plot and stuff. That would I felt that would have added more variety to the series, as I felt like the plots are very short, simple, and basic, and I just wish there was more to it. While reading the second one, Happy Birthday Lumba, I noticed that the writers were heavily influenced by J.B. Baller's Crash novel, which there's a character in the book, Timothy, who has an obsession with car accidents and photographing dead women in like very graphic ways, and he gets kind of turned on by this, and he has a sexual fantasy that he wants to live out, dying in a car crash to his favorite model, and then have an orgasm while this happens, which is a very bizarre and weird fetish. But that is literally from J.B. Baller's novel Crash, which is a novel I'm going to have to one day read. I remember trying to read that book a very long time ago, and I didn't get far in it, so I'm determined to get through it a second time. But I just noticed that the second part of the book, a second part of the graphic novel, had a bit of J.B. Baller's Crash influence in the mix of the story, so I thought that was interesting. Yeah, so as I said, like the plots are very short, simple, basic. There's not a lot to them. As I read through I read through like the first three graphic novels within 2 days. Hell, I could have read through all three of them in a single sitting, as they're that short. So I do wish they were a little longer. While the writing I felt wasn't the best at times, especially the third one, which I felt was the weakest one, as I felt that was very short. However, the illustrations are really beautiful to look at. Like the artwork by Tanino Liberatore, like the illustrations are incredible. I read that he used like very like thin pens to do the illustrations, and the artwork is incredible. However, he passed away in the late 80s from a heroin overdose, so that probably explains why the third graphic novel is kind of a bit of a mess, because they're using what they got, and had he not died of that drug overdose, maybe the third graphic novel on Men could have been a lot better, and they could have done more in the series, but who knows. Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate that a very talented artist died of a drug overdose. It's a real shame too, because the artwork in this is incredible. I'll show some pictures. Like this is a blow up of like when RanX first appears in the clone bar. And then okay. And this is the like opening part. Look how detailed that is. Like, it's incredible. Like the amount of like effort to get this detail with these fine point pens, or not fine point pens, but these like special pens or markers he used. Like the illustrations are incredible. And then I'll show one illustration in the second one. Look at how detailed that scene is right there. Just that one scene. It's really incredible. And then let's see. Okay, I want to show the. Where is it? Okay, this is, and I'll show this part. I just really like how detailed this is. Like each scene has a lot of like detail put into it. It's incredible. And then I'll show one more because my webcam is acting up. It's being a real pain in the ass. I don't know why. Okay. I want to show the one Pacific. Is this it? Here we go. Like it's amazing the level of detail this artist was able to pull off with these like pens and markers. It's really incredible. I really like the Mr. Limbo's like high-rise building is it's very well detailed, and I like the way it looks. And then let's see, what's another? Um, like here's another like I love the illustrations in the fur one. I feel like the fur one has got some of the best illustrations ever. It's just got the weakest story, unfortunately. And then one more I'll show. Okay, where is it? Nope. Yeah, here's that scene I was talking about where RanX gets shot by a SPOS 12 shotgun. Again, the detail is incredible. Alright. So that's the one thing I really like with the RanX series. The illustrations are very beautiful to look at. They're very well drawn. And the character designs are really interesting too. So that's the one thing I like. The other thing, I kind of wish there was more interesting characters. As I said, there's not really a lot of likable characters in this series. Like RanX is the one interesting. He's like the main protagonist that I like. He does some things though I don't agree with. He's an anti-hero, so he either does what Luba commands him to do, or told to do by others against his will. And since he's a machine, he has no remorse, no feelings. He just does whatever he wants, and he's very brutal and relentless at times. And he's very strong. Like he's got extreme like strength, and he can like tear like things apart. He can rip people's like limbs out, and in the third one, there's a funny part where some person's playing a clarinet. I guess he doesn't, he obviously doesn't like it, so he really shoves the clarinet through the person's mouth and kills the person. I thought that was funny. And then another one is when he shoves a guy's head into a fan, telling him to cool off. I thought that was like it did have some funny dark humor in the mix. But yeah, there's not really many other characters that I like in this story. The only other like side character I thought was interesting was Giorgio, the mutant Elvis fan that has like the second face on the side of his head. He was an interesting character. I kind of wish there was a little like more backstory to this character, because I'm wondering if he's a serial killer. Because this is because in the second one, the second half novel, Happy Birthday Luba, after he gets insulted by one of Romeo's friends for calling his Elvis music shitty, he picks up a chainsaw and just massacres everyone that gets in his path. And it's one of the most brutal parts in the graphic novel, and I was really enjoying this. And I was starting to wonder, is this guy like a serial killer? Because why else would he have a chainsaw? But yeah, there was like, I think the only other character I kind of I liked was Marita. She was like one of the more nicer girls in Luba's group, who actually has way more respect for RanX than Luba does, as Luba is a complete bitch in this series. She is just mean, whiny, a spoiled brat, and she constantly complains about everything. She complains about RanX and something that upsets her, or she has a fit over the slightest thing, and I just hated this character. She constantly gets herself into trouble. She's constantly allowing herself to be easily kidnapped, and disables RanX that way he can't interfere, and she gets like a kick out of it. And I thought, this is going to cost you one of these days, and sure enough it does. I just really dislike this character so much that I just wish that the writers could have like had RanX abandon her and then hook up with someone else, and it follows him going through like different meeting different characters and stuff, and it goes on these wild, over the top, violent ventures and stuff. That would have been more interesting. As I just really hated this Luba character so much. I just wanted her to die off so badly in this series. I just hated her. She's atrocious in the first, in Oh Man. She's just the absolute worst. And it's so weird. In the beginning of the graphic novel, she wants nothing to do with him, but towards the end, she somehow saves him through a a kind of supernatural thing where there's a part where RanX sees her, and it does that divine thing. It does a like a recreation of that divine thing where the one guy is sitting and then gets touched with knowledge or something from the other person. That there's a scene that appears in the third one, and this somehow brings him back to life, and now he has memories of Luba all of a sudden. And I was like, what is going on here? Like as I said, I felt All Men was a complete mess, and I wish the writer could have done a better job writing the third graphic novel if this was going to be the last one or not. I just wish he could have done a better job, like explain more to the story. Like there's another point, early on in the third graphic novel, RanX is attacked by clones of him, and it's like, where the hell did these clones come from? And it's never explained where they came from, who built them, and it seems like their only purpose was to try to kill the real RanX, so that way they can get Luba. And I was like, what? It just really didn't make much sense. And then there's the whole subplot with the with Mr. Limbo trying to save the president, who's got this virus that's causing his body to mutate into kind of like a blob-like substance, and by the end he just looks like a slug at the end. And then it's revealed that General Hacker was the one who did this so they could take over the United States, and there's like now it's like in a civil war, and it's like under like a dictatorship, which is I just wish the writers explained more with that. I was like trying to piece together what was going on in this plot, and I had to and I figured, okay, I think the General Hacker has something to do with this, as it doesn't really reveal a lot. And then the other subplot where RanX and Cleo stumble upon like this doomsday cult that have a fortified nuclear power plant, and the Collier decides to commit this event where he's going to kill everyone. It was just like I just felt the story was just trying to wrap everything up quickly, and then just have like a big explosion to finish it off at the end. I was not impressed. As I said, like, this series is not for everyone. It's not for the faint-hearted, and it's not cheap to come by. Some graphic novels are affordable than others. It just depends on the condition it's in. And as I said, Heavy Metal is supposed to come out with that complete RanX edition, which they never released an English edition. It's available in French and Italian, but in other languages, but not English for some weird reason. So I don't know if we'll ever get an English version of that or not. So if you're into this sort of thing, you want to check it out, go ahead, but be warned, as I said, it's not for the faint-hearted, and some of the actions and the characters do, and some of the things that happen, it might rub people the wrong way. So just a heads up before you go to read the series. But still, I'm glad I finally got around to reading the RanX series. As I said, I like reading stories from other countries around the world and stuff. It's always interesting to see how things are done in Europe, Asia, and all those other places. Alright, that's for the review today. Hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our tutorial library, the YouTube channel where I post book reviews, book hauls, and artificial related content. Until then, I'll catch you later.